Welcome back to another exciting episode of Ignite the Beacon. I'm one of your hosts, Lieutenant DeLeon, and I'm joined by...
I'm Technical Sergeant Prowant. Here at Keesler Air Force Base, we always have a need for passionate instructors who want to make a difference and an enterprise level impact. And if you want to do that, there's no greater way to do it than becoming an instructor. So today, we're joined by a couple of guests that we'll be talking to here in a second. But first, we're going to talk about our goal for the podcast.
So our goal is to have an open-minded conversation about the benefits and really the experience of what it's like to be here as an instructor. And today, we've got two guests in here with us that are warrior-minded individuals in the 1 Bravo 4 career field. So that being said, gentlemen, if you guys could introduce yourselves for today.
Well, I'm Sergeant Butler, and I've been an instructor here at Keesler since January of this year.
And I'm Technical Sergeant Austin Cooperrider. I've been here for a little bit over 2 years now.
So give us a little bit about your background before y'all got this assignment. Well, actually, before we even get into that, did you volunteer to be an instructor?
Actually, no, I didn't. I had been over in San Antonio for about 6 years, so I knew I was hot for orders, and I had tried to apply for a position up in Colorado Springs, but Air Force said, no, actually, how about Keesler?
Okay. And whenever that happened, like, what was that like? It was an email, or how did it all play out?
It was actually kind of funny. I had a coworker was like, did you hear? And apparently from the senior enlisted leader down, like, he got notified around the same time and pulled me into our Mass Sergeant's office, and, oh, no, you're showing up on our outbound.
Okay. What were your initial thoughts?
The biggest thing is that going to have to upheaval the whole family. You know, the military life of moves. That was the biggest concern. The other part was a little bit of timing of my wife's a teacher, and so in the move in the middle of the school year kind of caused some rifts, and so we were able to work with the leadership here and over at in San Antonio and kind of worked some creative deals.
So your wife was a teacher in the public school system, and in the middle of the year, y'all were like, we got orders, we gotta go.
I think our report no later than was January.
Okay.
Wow. We were able to move it all the way back to May, June timeframe.
Allows you to end out the school year, yeah? Okay. So those were your initial thoughts. After coming here, being an instructor for a while, have your thoughts changed since then, or what's the kind of deal with that?
I think it was really just the initial concerns. What I need to worry about right now. Once I got here, it was perfectly fine. We got her settled up. She has another job in the school district around here. And then from there, it was, okay, how do I hit the ground running? What's my next job that I have to worry about learning and doing and excelling in?
So you mentioned some initial concerns. What were those initial concerns? Because I know our viewers, they have a lot of concerns maybe about wanting to click the button, being an instructor. What were some of those concerns that you had?
Mainly, again, the family side. With my wife being the teacher, she actually was working on a 2-year certification, and it was literally year 1 complete, finished starting up year 2. So it requires an employer to sponsor her. So if we pulled out, she would not complete the certification, nor would she actually probably ever get another employer to put her forward for it. So that's where part of that deal kind of worked out of, hey, let's push my report no later than date, so that way I don't have to PCS without her, and then kind of drag the feet on getting set up in here and all that.
That's awesome. It's really, I know it's tough, but you know, everyone wants some sort of accommodations made, but like, it's great that they were able to allow that for y'all.
Yeah, and I know that sometimes that may or may not be the case. It just happened to be work around certain deals of, hey, BIC is a requirement. And the standard, you know, the instructor course. Lackland's an AETC school, so I kind of talked to senior enlisted leaders of both units and the AETC school out there, and we kind of worked out where I took BIC before I even PCS'd here.
Whoa.
So I showed up, hit the ground running. Now I
didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, it was just talking to people and say, hey, is this something that we can do? Now, obviously, depending on how far ahead, what's their availability, and is that something that they want to see on the regular of everyone hitting BIC before they show up here? But from the standpoint of senior enlisted leaders, I showed up ready to instruct. I didn't have to wait 2 months before I could even start instructing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you volunteered.
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
So why?
Well, funnily enough, a year before I came here, I was actually TDY'd here. They wanted a perspective of how current ops are and to implement that into our current structure of teaching. So I came here for like a week or two and helped improve the slide decks we use for teaching. And there was a lot of instructors here who I had worked with previously. And I talked to them while I was here. I was like, hey, how is it? And they all loved it. And, while I was here, everyone was super awesome. The base was super nice. Like, this might actually be something I want to do. And so it was like 7 months after that TDY, I decided to talk to my wife, like, hey, I know it would kind of suck a little bit to move and pack up everything, especially having like a 1-year-old and stuff. But I feel like to really progress my career, I kind of want to go do something new and instruct. It seems like a good position. She's like, yeah, let's do it. So we did it. And like he said, the move was rough. That was the main thing that held us back, but we were all gung-ho for volunteering for it.
Whenever you ended up clicking that button, deciding to become an instructor, and I think this is what a lot of other people who may be watching our series who's thinking about clicking the button, you realized that you had operational experience that could be valuable at the schoolhouse. And that's something I tell when we get new instructors and it's their first couple weeks in. And I was like, I know you may not feel confident in your teaching ability, but there's one thing that you should feel confident in is you were literally doing the job that you want these airmen to take on. And so there's no one who's more operationally relevant than you right now. And the longer you stay here, you get better at teaching, but you also, you don't have that field experience immediately available in your memory, right? So that is awesome.
And the other sweet opportunity with that is that you take that experience that you've just gotten, you bring it to these new airmen, and now you're molding the next generation for really years to come because you're changing the lessons plans. You guys are involved with all of that curriculum development.
So that initial perspective for you and your family, right? What was your initial impression of Keesler when you first got here?
Well, I have always heard mixed things about the base. And like I said, when I came TDY here, everything I heard about Keesler, all the rumors and stuff, wasn't true. It turned out it was actually a really nice base. And I learned it's because due to the devastation of Katrina, a lot of the base had to be completely rebuilt up. So I came and the whole area is nice. Biloxi's nice, Gulfport's nice, and the base, it feels like a new, fresh base, and everyone seemed pretty happy. So that was my first impression coming here, and it just completely grounded the rumors I had heard about it.
Yeah, when you talk about the local area, Katrina absolutely had a massive impact on this place, and you can still see a lot of the battle scars and empty lots where a house used to sit. But I think that the community came back together, and actually the whole nation kind of rose up and formed a really tight community of support around here, and it's really never left this area. And so those ripple effects have kind of bled into not just Keesler, but even the surrounding areas. So I think that might be a little bit what you're experiencing too.
I think for me it was beforehand. My first career field was through Keesler as a tech school. Then I've come back again the second time for 1 Bravo, and so I've known Keesler for the last 12 years or so since I've been in. Whether or not I've been here constantly, yes, it constantly evolves, but I really think it was that sense of knowing that I saw it as a student. And then as soon as I got here, it took a little bit to realize, no, this is now a permanent party base. I am on the other side of that paradigm. And so now all these students, yes, I have to keep that certain type of distance, but at the same time, we're still all airmen. And how we're supposed to help each other. And so some of the volunteer ops that I've done kind of been in the triangle again, and kind of realizing that little dynamic of, oh, now students are reporting to me, and it throws you off beat for the first few times.
Yeah, and I think that is very common. I think a lot of students, it's really hard for them to separate the idea of, because it's kind of a stressful time for them and it's meant to be, right? We're trying to form and mold them into the airmen that are going to be successful out in the battlefield later, right? And so it's meant to be a little challenging. There's not all the civil liberties afforded to them, right? There's the phases and all those things. And so those things kind of linger with them. They have those memories associated. But, there's a lot more to the area. And then when you're permanent party,
It's an eye-opening experience, really. And even
Absolutely.
I can speak to that myself, just being a first assignment instructor here, graduating tech school last year and a half ago, and then immediately the next day flipping over, oh, this is my job now. And I was like, oh, I don't have these restrictions anymore. It's kind of a really wide, eye-opening experience for me. So I can only imagine it was like that for y'all as well. So
that's a pretty unique and rare experience too. All right, so we're gonna start talking more about innovation and technology with the next couple questions for y'all. So either of you or both of you. How do you think Keesler Air Force Base is leading the way in innovation, in technology, or in your career field right now?
I'd say just for the sake of in our schoolhouse, one of the shining items that we have is our tunneling lab that we've innovated in-house. That was a few years ago from previous instructors.
A tunneling lab?
Yeah, so
like going underground?
right, hopping from one computer to another and showing that concept of how we can hide our tracks across the internet. And the big thing was this was where we took literally how to hack Wi-Fi. That was the training objective. But then they took reports from the actual operations field and realized, oh, hey, we need to improve this skill set. And so they took Raspberry Pis, relatively cheap devices, at least on the Air Force scale. It was only like for a few $1,000s. We now have an entire lesson plan and a visual representation of every single time a student hops from one box to the next. So that kind of innovation, knowing that, hey, if we can get the money, pull things out from storage, and if you have the time, you can build it, and then all of a sudden it's input in our curriculum. And it's been there since. And it's something that takes that operational mindset, and it's nice to see that transition of the idea to then visual and physical item.
Wow. I mean, I've heard a couple of stories of innovation up here, but like that one is really cool, especially, I know I'm in cyber, so I know a little bit about technology, so just understanding also what that means for the Air Force, right? And then you get a hand in shaping what that future is going to look like, and as you pass on that knowledge of information onto your students. That's so cool. Anything for you, sir? Any innovation?
I mean, with that, it means we get to still stay technical too, right? Like we're still doing the stuff we love to do, but we're doing it for the benefit of the students in schoolhouses. That's one thing I've noticed since I've got here too, is they love taking ideas and trying to run with them. I haven't seen any ideas like really shot down. There's a unit that we can go to where they will actually develop something specifically for us as well.
Trainer development, yeah.
Yes.
Great plug for training development.
Yeah, during BIC we got a tour of that, and it was really cool. Like, man, all the possibilities. Like, it's clear that their goal here is to improve the schoolhouses as much as possible. That way, our training can be, the best it can.
Yeah, we have a lot of supporting agencies on base. I think it's one of the most critical ones, on top of faculty development. But over there at the 81st Training Support Squadron, they got a really awesome suite of experts who are making simulators and 3D printing stuff, and then they have a whole workshop, all kinds of things and props that they can make to innovate instruction. So it's awesome that we have that here.
Yeah. And not even just for like the materials in the classroom instruction and whatnot, but they're also trying to develop our faculty as well. FACD, faculty development with the 81st Training Support Squadron. Have you guys taken any courses there? They do offer a lot of courses that can improve your instruction.
I went through the instructor supervisor course, so it was the next step of growth for me, and trying to learn that leadership aspect of actually evaluating other instructors and how they instruct and how to better improve them, and then some of the other admin side of things associated to that. That was a fun little course.
I'm excited to take that one. I'm actually slotted for next week to go over there.
It's fun. You get to see some horrible examples by intent and design, especially when they're really old, but it still is valid because it's still the same concept of teaching. What is the problems that we have in a classroom, and that stuff like that, when you realize that it's the same mission for the last 20, 30 years, even when you see people in BDUs, it's still the same thing going on around here in Keesler.
It's all about people.
Absolutely. Anything for you, sir?
I haven't got to yet, but not because I don't want to, but since I just got here this year, I really just wanted to focus on actually improving myself as an instructor and getting into the different blocks of our course and stuff and focusing on that. Next year, since I'll have a year of experience, I would like to try to take some of those courses. I have seen them pop up on my emails though.
Yeah, if you ever get the chance, Dragon University is just a great place to go and get that professional development in. I know you've seen the emails. I was teaching the base about AI over the last year. But they got all kinds of courses, whether it's like bullet writing, if you're trying to get good at administrative writing, or they even have some on nutrition and finance and fitness. There's different aspects that could affect your military lifestyle. So all around, great resource that we have here.
And I think this is a really great segue to change gears for what Sergeant Cooper Ryder just mentioned about progression, being able to be an instructor, supervisor, and evaluate other instructors. What do you guys feel here about the way you can develop yourselves? I know that there's kind of maybe a stigma about coming here. Oh, I'm losing out on opportunities for growth and development or developing myself. So,
Well, I'll say this has been the best assignment for that growth for myself in the last 2 years. I think part of it stems from in the operational field, at least when I previously was in it as a staff sergeant or a junior tech, there's very little leadership opportunities. It's just by the sheer nature of, as in defensive side, there's not that many positions that really need to be filled, and it's based off of whatever ops tempo you're on. But as soon as I got here, I found out, oh, because we have everything broken up in blocks, and we need to have someone who is a subject matter expert who constantly develops that block, all of a sudden I found out, no, I'm a lead. And I was able to take that and ran with it. And I constantly innovated my entire block, changed our assessments and stuff like that. And then from there, it's just realizing where I can fit into the entire base. And I kind of opened up my aperture, and that was nice to be able to start getting involved in stuff like that. And then also personally, I started and finished my master's here. While I also had
What's your master's in?
cybersecurity through WGU. So
Okay.
getting all the certs that come through with it, and it was nice. It directly correlates to our instruction. But the crazy thing was, I started that halfway through my wife being pregnant, and then the baby being born. Took a little bit off, and so that was a challenge. But that was one of the benefits of being here is the amount of flex time that I had as an instructor to, okay, I'm sitting here, there's no task that needs to be done, I'll go ahead and study, do what I need next for my master's work. And that was nice to be able to go through.
And for me, they have so many opportunities for us to just take certifications as well. Particularly SANS, like there's no shortage of any SANS vouchers.
What's SANS?
SANS is one of the more elite cyber certification like companies out there.
Okay.
Our tech school or our IQT used to be required to have one of those certs. Not so much anymore, but that changes constantly. But at all the units, we're constantly taking these certs, usually dependent on your work role. But here, as instructors, that way we can keep up to date with our career field and the ever-changing nature of cyber. They are happy to give us any training we need to make sure we stay up to date, because teaching the same foundational knowledge, while valuable, can make us stagnant, and that's what we want to avoid. So any cert we want, we can apply for it, and they're like, yeah, here's a voucher. You go take that course, you get that cert.
And kind of from both of your perspectives, it kind of sound like this was an opportunity. Well, for you specifically, you had that conversation about wanting to grow. This is the place to do it, and you're doing it by going after these certs. And what that's doing is showing that you're trying to show that you have potential value later on. I got a couple of pieces of paper to my name, a master's, a couple of SANS certs, right? All this inside of my career field is going to show that I am taking steps on my career, my pathway to what's next, right? For you, heading towards master, right? Showing that you already have those things lining up. I mean, that's the kind of things that they're looking for, right? Is that self-improvement. And you're a master in select?
Yes, yeah, I got picked up this summer.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a great base to get promoted at. And I think it's because
Absolutely.
the roadmap, not only will you find a mentor here who can help you build that roadmap, but there's also steps in place for you to go and walk it. Not every base is like that, especially not the last base I was at. 160 people, right? There's not, whatever self-development or personal development is going on is very slim pickings. So, but this base, there's so much.
Yeah, I'd say some of it comes from the idea is that when you're in that ops tempo, you have that little bit of aperture of, this is my normal day work schedule, but then I have to worry about the outside of, maybe I'm about to get deployed. What am I going to do while I'm there, or stuff like that? Versus here, it's your ops tempo is even a little bit narrower because you have that time to admin develop ahead of time or in the afternoon, evening. And then otherwise, you can kind of take some of that time back for yourself, that development. And I found that just being able to have that self-reflection of kind of how you said, finding mentors, okay, what is it that I can do in my next step? And now that I've kind of taken that knee, I'm not trying to burn myself out in just the ops in of itself. I can actually take that self-reflection and where do I need to improve? And that was kind of a good time for me to do that in the last 2 years.
I think that brings us to a really good point. So for y'all, what opportunities for mentorship, whether you were being mentored or you were mentoring others, what opportunities have been there for you for that piece?
Oh, And that's been my biggest improvement as a person since I got here, just instructing in general. Is the blocks I teach are relatively short, like 12 to 14 duty days long. So I'm constantly seeing 10 to 12 new students every couple weeks. And they're all unique individuals, right? They're all unique airmen, and I get to experience every single one, all their unique troubles, their unique experiences, everything. And it's not only helped me grow as a mentor and a leader, but I think it's helped me understand where my previous mentors have come from my previous units and bases, and even my current mentor, my supervisor, Master Sergeant Nebo.
That's kind of awesome, thinking like you're not only going to see the impact you're having, but the impact other mentors have had on you, and like you understand where they're coming from, and now able to better pass on that information.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely that is one of the key aspects. I think from the other side is we have a really good cadre here of instructors who care about each other. The community as a unit is very tight-knit, and so you get those people who immediately take someone underneath their wing. I know a few people where you're technically not my supervisor, but I'm going to, pull you under. I'm now your supervisor, and I'm going to take care of you and help write your EPBs and stuff like that, and help develop you, help point out where your gaps are. And I think my understanding some of those individuals are the ones who actually got selected this summer for master because they were hungry. They had people who were looking out for them, not just their individual supervisor, but others. This unit cares for each other, and they try to help where they can.
Awesome. So, kind of along those lines, what would you say has been your most rewarding time as an instructor here? Something that sticks out in your memory as a rewarding moment?
I'd say it's getting those students that you can tell just coming in, they're going to have a rough time. Like you can tell that they're not going to have a very squeaky clean through the class that you're instructing. But then as you get those light bulb moments going on, and when you think, okay, they're going to barely pass, and then all of a sudden they knock out maybe a 90. Something that just stands out, like not only did you do it, you knocked out of the park, and you could tell that what you instructed immediately got sunk into their head, and they've learned that concept. And the fun thing is that's every 2-3 weeks that you get those moments. And that feedback, that constant feedback loop is there, and that I think is something that you're not going to ever get in the operational field. Heck, half the time you feel like I felt like I was an imposter, right? The cyber imposter syndrome of, I don't know what I'm doing. I was doing networking security analysis. So either there's nothing on the network or I'm an idiot and I don't know what's on there. Versus I'm constantly getting that feedback every day. And there's nothing that can beat that.
Yeah, and I know that in the beginning, when you very first one, you might have that imposter syndrome feeling, but after another iteration or two, like you just get a confidence born and demonstrated ability, and it just kind of.
You ease your way into it and just build up that experience, and at this point it's just, oh man, this is just natural to me, kind of thing.
How about you?
Yeah, the most rewarding thing is just the reactions of my students and how excited they get. Because a lot of these students that come through the schoolhouse, they are like hungry for knowledge. This is not an easy field to get into. So they're all in here ready to gung-ho. And when I tell my stories from my operational days, the past 5 years, I have a lot of cool stories I get to tell them as I teach them and how it applies to what they're going to be doing. Their focus is like aimed right at me, and they're like really invested, and their faces light up, and they just get excited, and that excites me and makes me happy. And I was like, I'm teaching the future of the cyber warfare operators here, and someday I'm going to be working with these guys who are excited about this field and are excited to do what I was just talking about. And then that last part where they go and graduate, and it's very rewarding to see them, like, and how happy they are and how proud their families are.
Yeah, connecting with these people who have actual lives, and they join, wanting to serve their country. It's kind of cool getting to see them finally fulfill that, because it's a big goal, right? And then they're big wins. Every time I push through a class, we teach 6 blocks over at Dolan Hall before we push them out to whatever their following shred is. But to me, it's always a big day, right? Your goal is to become a cyber professional. You're not quite all the way out there, but this was the biggest hurdle for y'all to get through to get to that point. And if you can get to this point, we have you're going to wash out here most likely before you wash out somewhere else. And so if you got through this, you have the skills and the discipline so far that we've trained you with to make it through the next ones. You just got to apply it.
I think it's even more rewarding as well to see, like you mentioned, you see these guys like go through the course. It's very rigorous, it's very tough, but you see them from the beginning, and then you see them, like you mentioned, graduate at the end when they get their cyber wings. And are they the same people that when they started Block 1? Most oftentimes not.
Yeah, they're definitely changed by the experience. So I want to get into something else. We're going to talk a little bit more about community and the camaraderie of this area. What do you think sets the Keesler community apart from other military bases that you've been at?
Well, it's small, I think, is what really helps. Like the permanent duty personnel here is small in comparison to the amount of trainees and stuff that are here, compared to other bases where there are a lot of permanent party and a lot of units. And that alone, I think, makes us closer. And that's one thing I've noticed from my wife. She's actually a key spouse for her unit, so she works closely with all the spouses of the permanent party, which there's not a lot compared to my last unit. So it's kind of interesting to note that, and I think it being smaller, we're all closer, and that makes us care about each other more.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I've literally found myself in just some of the outings for my kids. So like my daughter goes to dance and found out, oh, there's one person who's there as a parent there, and then all of a sudden another one, and then you start realizing how interconnected we are. And sometimes they turn into impromptu mentoring sessions. Like, hey, you didn't make staff this cycle. Okay, well, let's talk about what is it that really is a key focus point. And stuff like that, where the community is super small, as you said. I've found so many people that I've seen across at different events, and oh, hey, how's it going? It helps that I've kind of had to put myself out there a little bit, but realizing that the same people that you keep seeing over and over again, they're part of the same community that you are is nice.
Yeah, you're going to go out into the community. You're definitely going to bump into people. You're definitely going to see tech schoolers. They get their dead giveaway with their backpack and their slick haircut.
Oh, yeah.
But you're also going to run into permanent party who are out there who've got to live life too. And like it turns out, a lot of us are in the same phases of our life. You just finished your master's. I want to get into my master's, right? And so because of that, we have a really awesome opportunity to network here. So for me, when we get out, we like to go be a part of some of the things that are happening downtown and in the local area. Are there anything, so let me ask you, what do you all like to do in your off-duty time with your families?
I mean, I'd say really it's all focused on the kids. My daughter does dance, gymnastics, Girl Scouts, and then we're picking up piano lessons like literally next week. So she's the one that kind of runs the schedule to an extent. I pull a little bit of time for myself. I kind of do some of my nerd stuff, but it's really more of like a martial arts that I go out. And I have to go out to Mobile, so about an hour drive sometimes. But it's in all of that, it has its own community group that, hey, an occasional event will pop up on a Saturday or Sunday, and so I'll go do that. That's really it. I'm a little bit of a home buddy, except for the kids pulling us all over the place.
Yeah, this really is a regional hub to where like we live an hour from New Orleans-ish, an hour from Mobile,
Pensacola.
we got Hattiesburg, Pensacola, 2 hours away. Yeah, and so like hearing you saying your family has all these things, it also there's a lot of opportunities to kind of if you want your kids to have a diverse experience of things to go do. It sounds like you're hitting them all right now.
Yeah. Whether or not I have the free time to go sleep or take care of myself is the question right there.
Yeah, that's something else. Yeah. How about you, sir?
For me, I'm also a homebody, but when I first got here and went through BIC, I actually made a really good friend, Sergeant Baker, and her husband now have a game night with me and my wife every other Saturday, or at least we did before the newborn got here, so that's our focus right now. But that's what we would do every other Saturday. We often get guests because it's easier for our family to visit us from our original home compared to when we were in San Antonio. So that's nice that we get them a lot. And we go to like the aquarium a lot. There's a lot of opportunities here for
they
our
just
kids.
built that.
Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice. It's quality over quantity. It's kind of a smaller aquarium, but it's like super well done.
Yeah, you can hang out for an hour or two, go see. I mean, they got plenty of stuff to keep y'all kids running up and down looking at everything.
Yeah, I swear my son, the last time we went there, he stood there for like 20 minutes just watching the beavers alone. So
Yeah, and that's like the first thing when you walk in. You haven't
exactly.
even made it in yet. Awesome. And so when you play board games, I'm also a nerd too. Might as well throw it out there. But when you play do you play board games? Is that what you're talking about? Okay. Where do y'all like to play?
Well, I have 140 games in my collection.
Oh, okay, you got me beat, but just by a little bit.
We try to play a different game every time, and also maybe try some different tabletop RPGs. But my go-to is a game called Wingspan. You ever heard of Wingspan? That's a great game. Scythe is good, and then there's more family-friendly games which we play when our families visit. Things like Codenames and Isle of Cats and Uno.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say for me it's more like the small group events of like, hey, someone's hosting, let's put a board game out and play it too. I mean, we had a poker night one night, and just hey, part of it going away for 2 or 3 individuals of our unit. So just having that kind of community was nice. I know there's a few board game stores around here. One actually was ran by a previous member of our unit.
What is it?
Board Game Peddler.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But
I've heard of it. I've
Yeah,
been there. I
yeah.
just wanted everyone else to know it's an awesome.
yeah, so
place.
I with my schedule, I don't find myself having that time to go out in case it's an occasional, get together with the unit as a whole, because I find that having that group is one thing I want to nourish always.
And I think that's just the great part about being here. There's so many things to do, like whether you're a homebody, tight-knit, prefer more of the interpersonal stuff, or if you want to go out and do big stuff, there are things like the Coliseum or the casinos if you're into that, or even if you just want to see the buffets, there's just a lot of opportunity to explore or stay in. It'll fit your needs wherever you kind of lie on that spectrum.
Yeah, you may not get like the A-list casts of events coming out, but you'll get those B+. Like I'm going to a concert this Friday, so over at the Ip Casino, and they have all sorts of different things there. So it just depends on what you're interested in.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'll be watching or listening to Day to Remember and Yellow Card, because I'm a millennial, got to go see that. But they're having that at the Coliseum, so we'll be going in November. Still kind of in the same topic. So when y'all we're talking more about your family now. Are y'all living on or off base?
I'm off base.
Okay.
I'm off base. We really wanted to be on base.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we have 2 Huskies, which we're not allowed on base housing, unfortunately. So that's something to note. But we live in Gulfport, so I have like a 20-minute commute, which I live way farther away than I did when I was at Lackland, but it still takes me a short amount of time to get to base here than I did at Lackland because of the traffic. No traffic here.
Traffic, absolutely. I've
Unless
only
it's
heard
cruising the
horse races.
coast.
Yeah, true.
Do y'all both rent, or did y'all buy a house?
So I bought a new build. I came in just as like some of the housing prices or the market was going nuts, and so the new build company, they kind of, hey, well, if you close early, we'll pay off a little bit of the interest rate. So I locked in 5%, which now is okay compared to what they were trying to offer back in 2020 of like 2% of a refinance.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is because if people don't know, right now, this is a really great place to live, historic, and there's a lot of houses, a lot of property. Definitely the market is always, especially with the military coming in and out, the market's always moving. So, and here, in comparison to the rest of the country, houses are a little cheaper. I wish that when I was a younger airman, someone had told me to buy a house, and I waited till I was a little older on in life. But if I'd have been starting then, I would have been all right now. But I'm fine now. But I'm just saying, I wish that I would have bought one.
Yeah, for us, it was about the same price for a little bit less of a home, and we lost a good chunk. San Antonio would get a quarter acre with almost every house there, so lost a little bit of yard, but nothing too much. I'd say the biggest thing for us is because we bought new, it was a little bit more expensive. A lot of the houses that were within our budget, that the same price of what we sold our house in San Antonio for, they were nice. They were just a little bit older and had to put some elbow grease in, and I didn't want to do the elbow grease at the time. Now going back on it, maybe if I was interested, I would have put the effort in, because knowing that it'd come back to me in the long run. But it's just a matter of what your preferences are.
That's a good point. With buying a house or choosing where you're going to live, it also kind of affects school. And so I know your kid isn't quite school age yet. Are they in the CDC or daycare? What's...
No, so actually after we moved here, my wife got a new job, a remote job, where she works for the Alzheimer's Association hotline. So she gets to work from home. So thanks to our instructor's schedule, it actually works out where our son will take a nap and my wife will start work. She starts to work at 3. And so I leave work between 3 and 4, and by the time I get home is when he's waking up from his nap. So we kind of have it perfect where we don't have to worry about childcare.
Okay. Save some money.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Like
exactly.
a lot.
Childcare is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about $1,000 a month for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you? Schools and daycare.
So the biggest reason where we went was some daycares, they kind of keep your kid just safe and all that and try to keep that environment nice. Others where they do the educational aspect. We wanted to splurge to make sure our child gets some education along with it in that preschool era. But the other part is that it happened to coincide to early drop-off and late pickup for my kid, the other child that's in school. So same school district and everything. So just kind of one of those perfect opportunities for us. But as for the district that we have, we're up in the D'Iberville area, so it's one of the better ones in the area. I think depending on your metrics, there's some that are better, Ocean Springs, but that's super expensive in that area. But we're seeing our child grow and prosper in the D'Iberville St. Martin community there. So
You feeling pretty good about like the level of their education?
yeah, so I think I think where you're alluding to is Mississippi's known for potentially having lower education. Obviously, everything south of 10, it's pretty stellar in comparison to the rest of the state.
But even the state itself, I've been seeing some stuff coming out saying the trends are showing that it's very positive, especially in comparison to the rest of the country and growth.
Absolutely, and I think that it's just that aspect of, as a whole, Mississippi,
Yeah.
right, versus the south side of Mississippi is really
a little
good.
different.
And especially in the elementary stage where the type of education is different than middle school or upper high school stuff. And so the district we have our child in is pretty good for her age group.
So shifting gears a little bit, I know we talked a little bit about some of the opportunities for growth and whatnot here, but I do want to highlight, are there any challenges that you guys have had experienced here as instructors that's kind of helped develop you, or anything you've kind of overcome in your time here as an instructor?
I kind of alluded to it earlier, how I've been built up as an individual from teaching students. Well, it's always been my biggest problem is confidence tends to be the feedback I get is I need to, act more confident, be more confident. And that's one thing that immediately improved when I got here. As soon as you get thrown in front of a class and you have to start teaching, and you do that every day, every week, that quickly builds up. And that has been the biggest growth for me in that sense.
Day in, day out, you're teaching these brand new airmen. When you take charge in that classroom, they're all looking to you as that leader. You're that de facto leader every single time. And like you mentioned, these classes rotate regular, so it's a new set of people, new set of challenges. I mean, I felt the same way, and I thought this assignment was a great way to improve my self-confidence as well.
Yes.
And kind of in that similar vein, you do get those students who either have that chip on their shoulder or they think they know more than you, especially if you get the cross trainees from whatever guard unit or whatever that's going on. And that is a challenge in of itself, because how do you handle that delicately without just trying to stamp them down and be like, I understand you have a lot of background experience and I'm not going to be the expert in everything in here, but this is what we're teaching you. I think also for me, the other challenge I've had is after about a year or two in the seat, okay, you know your job, you're going to keep doing your job. What work-related roles can you fill that actually grows you now that I've learned the teaching that side of it. And so it is a little bit challenging finding those roles to fill into. Sometimes you have to kind of make them yourself though. And I think that's something that was nice for me to pick up is, okay, maybe I have to do it on the volunteer side. Start leading a group there and getting people together and do certain things, or kind of get outside of the squadron as a whole and start filling something in like the 5-6 council or something like that nature as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of organizations on base to find those opportunities to meet those needs. With the Air Force Sergeants Association, 5-6, Top 3, and then even beyond that, there's always volunteer opportunities to pick up something. We're always going to have the Air Force ball going on, so there's definitely a lot of places to jump in.
Absolutely. Or even within the squadron. I know they made you flight chief recently for...
Yeah, well, I think that's part of the perfect timing of promotion and as people are leaving. But it really is that is a nice case for me. I can't say it was perfect for everyone in those circumstances. Having that growth inside the squadron is nice. but it really is what can I kind of vector myself outside of the squadron if need be.
Absolutely.
So one last question here, and then we're going to wrap it up. So what advice would you give someone, right? So we're expecting to be hitting an audience of people who maybe never thought about becoming an instructor or on the fence about becoming an instructor. What advice would you have for them?
I'd say, honestly, the job satisfaction, because no matter what, when you're in the ops field, you're going to have those times where it's lulls, ups and downs. Maybe you get those really good wins, which is great, but you're going to get those good wins every week, almost every day as an instructor. And knowing that you are actually molding the career field that you're going to be going back into eventually is the other amazing aspect of this job, because knowing that the students that you are instructing, they're learning the material that you've gotten from your expertise now, and then they're going to be doing hopefully better things than you. And the whole point is that you are the second and third order effect caused that. Their wins are going to be your wins to an extent. Mm-hmm. And knowing that the ripple effect of what you have in the Air Force from that alone, that's what the job satisfaction for me is knowing that every day I'm doing something that's amazing, even if it's small in comparison, the effect of it's going to be big.
And my advice, and it's the same advice I actually give my students, and that's to stay adaptive. Cyber constantly changing. Our career field, the Air Force, has been making a lot of changes. We're constantly changing, and that's especially relevant in our career field. So I always say, stay adaptive. And what I mean by that is not just grow with the career field, but grow as a person as well. For example, someone who's been operating for 5 years like I was, eventually you start getting away from that foundational knowledge, and the foundation is what holds up your career and your skills. And if you don't maintain that foundational knowledge, you can start to slip in spaces. So that was actually one of the reasons I volunteer, and that's why I would recommend to volunteer to come here as an instructor as well, to get these experiences, to be adaptive, to grow yourself.
Is really facing that challenge is what's going to create that adaptation that we really need. And that's what our senior leaders are kind of hoping and expecting for us, is that we are challenging ourselves and then adapting based on that, because we're going to have to adapt to the new circumstances of not the wars we fought in the past,
But the next fight.
Yeah, the next fight, exactly.
It's that age-old saying of get comfortable with being uncomfortable, I think it is. So really, nothing truer than that. But with that being said, that has been our episode today for Ignite the Beacon, where you can have your lasting impression and lasting legacy within your career field and make a difference in the next generation of airmen to come.
What we're hoping for you is that if you think this might be the move for you and that you want to become an instructor, we ask that you go to MyVector, go to Talent Marketplace, and go in there and look for job listings for your AFSC. We absolutely would love it if you would click that button, but make sure that you talk to your chief and your chain of command to make sure it's the right fit for you and for the Air Force. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Ignite the Beacon. We'll see you next time.